Hey nerds, Farmer Jesse here. Welcome to Growers Daily, your daily dose of ecological farming insight. It is Thursday, October 23rd, 2025, and today we are talking about the Master Gardener courses, rabbit poop in the garden, and straw with tack. Good idea? Bad idea? What even is it? So let's do it. All right, happy Thursday, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope everyone enjoyed the conversation with Mikey and Kez yesterday. I love them dearly, and I think they're a great resource, not just for farming information, but business information. And as I said in that episode, we will do an interview once per month with them. So if you have any Mikey and Kez specific questions, Patreon members, feel free to post them over there in the October or soon November show thread. Speaking of October, here we are on the verge of our first frost of the season. And in fact, it could even be happening as I record this, as we will get a patchy frost at right around 38 degrees, which I think is what it is. That's like 3 degrees Celsius. And I think looking around the farm right now that we timed the winter kill cover crops pretty well. And even that late stand of buckwheat, which will absolutely die in the first frost. I love having flowers blooming this late for the buggies. Also, sunflowers. They do really well. Like last year, I ended up having to just mow our sunflowers, I think in late October, early November or something, because they lasted so long. It's an underrated fall crop, I think. It should be, maybe more employed later in the summer. It helps, I guess, probably that our historic, October 1st frost date that we've always worked with, or even my more liberal, October 10th first frost date, hasn't happened in, I have no idea how long. Maybe it's at least close to a decade at this point. So I don't really have to so much expect a frost before at least October 20th now. From a business standpoint, a little bonus fall is not the worst thing, but from a planning side, I fear as soon as I start thinking the first frost is going to come, a little later, so I can extend those summer crops a little later, it's going to bite me. The frost is. Farming is so normal. Anyway, today, as is our tradition on Thursdays, we will tackle a few Patreon questions, but this week is one of those where I got several questions from the same person. So we will knock those out because they are, well, I guess they're not really questions, but they are a nice range of topics, and I do love me some topics, so don't hesitate, Patreon members, just to throw those in there. These topics come to us from Amy Peary, who writes, quote, "Hey, Farmer Jesse, I only recently found Growers Daily and have been binge listening to catch up. It's a great podcast, super helpful and fun. Thanks. I also bought your book, which I'm stoked about. I'm a semi-beginner hobby gardener with lots of trial and error under my belt, emphasis on error, so I appreciate the guidance. Topics I would love to get your thoughts on: Master Gardener Program, rabbit poop in the garden, we have an adorable rescue, rutabaga, and straw with tack. Also, sincere congrats on your sobriety. I started the sober life 6 years ago, and it was one of the very best decisions I've ever made. Amy Peary, Zone 7B, Piedmont area of Virginia," end quote. All right, thanks, Amy. Great topics, and thanks about the sobriety. Unquestionably the best thing I've ever done for my own health, both mental, physical, any of it, all of it. Big fan. All right, so let's just do each one of those three topics one by one, starting in order. The first topic is the Master Gardener programs. Now, my assumption here is you're asking if I think they are worth doing. And to be clear, I have never taken one of those courses, so I cannot speak from personal experience about any one individual course, or if they will do much, if anything, for you as a grower. That said, I actually kind of like the idea of these programs, at least for people not necessarily looking to be professional growers, but who are looking to teach or start community gardens and etc. To back up, the Master Gardener program, not to be confused with master classes that are available online from different professional growers, these Master Gardener programs were started in the 1970s to meet the high demand for gardening advice in more urban settings. The idea was that horticulturalists, through the extension offices, could teach people to garden, and then those people could teach other people, and so on, that sort of thing. Today, these programs are available in all 50 states, plus all 8 Canadian provinces, to help effectively train gardening enthusiasts proper horticulture. Then those master gardeners, like I said, are kind of expected to go on and share that information with others via classes or talks or books, etc. The class is 40 to 50 hours of work, so I guess it's kind of like a single college course equivalent. As far as I can tell, most of these classes are relatively affordable. I mean, $100 to $300, maybe somewhere in that range, though that can possibly change by county. This title of Master Gardener is not likely to land you any jobs per se, but it is kind of a quick certification that could lend you some credibility, I suppose, in certain contexts. It reminds me a bit of the soccer coaching licenses. I have my D soccer coaching license from US Soccer. It took me roughly like a summer of online courses and 2 full weekends away doing in-person training at a facility like an hour or so away from here. And frankly, I loved it. It was a bit challenging. I loved the experience. I loved meeting the other coaches and doing that sort of networking thing. And some of the technical tools and terminology it gave me, I still use like quite a bit with our soccer teams, and it's been super helpful. But just taking the course and having the certification doesn't make me a wholly better coach unless I am also coaching and building on it. It may put me in line for a better job if I were looking for a soccer coaching job, I suppose. But someone with more coaching and or playing experience is going to get that job probably over me, as it should be. The same is likely to be said of, like the Master Gardener courses. It may be a nice experience, but if it will help you out to have that certificate, I'm not so sure about that the, certificate itself will be all of that much use. So in the Master Gardener program, is it worth it? In an educational sense, probably. If you have the time and money, why not take the course, I guess? I don't think it's going to hurt you, and the networking or just social element is probably going to be pretty fun. Is it going to make a bigger technical impact on your gardening than, say, just reading books, going to conferences, and that sort of thing? Probably not. But if you pick up a couple tips and tricks from that course that save you some time and money on the farm or in the gardens, then it likely paid off. Again, I loved my coaching courses, and for me, they were totally worth it. Maybe it will open some doors if I want to coach at higher and higher levels, but also maybe not. Maybe I just take what I learned and build on that for the kiddos I already coach. Same could probably be said of these Master Gardener courses. Maybe it's just a fun educational experience that teaches you something you can use, or maybe just introduces you to somebody fun. Anyway, what do you all think? Have you all taken the Master Gardener courses? Was it fun? Was it educational? Waste? A boon? Let us know. Otherwise, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, rabbit poop. Boom. Just going to say it. BRB. So I may have let a few wild onions slide this spring. Just a few. Today's episode is brought to you by Farmhand. Renewal season is here, and the work you put in now is what brings members back next year. Ari Memar, founder of Farmhand and a guest you've heard on this podcast, has worked with regenerative farmers to create a playbook that turns renewal season into a growth season. One farmer, Melanie at Shake Fork Community Farm, brought in $40,000 in renewals in just 2 weeks using this strategy. Now, Ari and Melanie are sharing the exact approach in a free live workshop and downloadable playbook. Watch on demand and get the playbook at farmhand.partners/no-till. That's farmhand.partners/no-till. All right, back to the show. If you, the listener or viewer, are enjoying this podcast, getting even a small amount of value from it, consider supporting our work over at patreon.com/no-till-growers. I will try to get to questions from everywhere the questions come in, but I will always get to your Patreon questions. Now, today's second Patreon question comes to us from Patreon member Amy Peary. And again, we're really just going to tackle the second topic that Amy suggested, which is rabbit poop in the gardens. Shouts to their rescued rabbit, Rutabaga. And there wasn't a specific question attached, so I kind of get to take this topic wherever I want. So that's fun. First, let's start with the fact that, as many of you no doubt know, rabbits are lagomorphs, which is a sciencey way of saying cute rodents, and they practice what is called coprophagia. Specifically, they eat some of their own poop. Now, this doesn't really have anything to do with gardening, but it does lead to some of the rabbit's manure's interesting features. Basically, rabbits produce two different types of poop, some of which is slightly fermented, called cecotrophs, and then the fully digested, poop pellets. The cecotrophs, though, are the ones that they kind of reconsume to digest and fully draw out the nutrients. Like, basically, they pre-digest it, poop it out, eat it again, fully digest it, and then poop it out as manure. The basic idea here is that their diets tend to be full of, woody cellulose materials like grass, leaves, that sort of stuff. So their second run through the digestive system enables the rabbit to fully extract the nutrients within the material. It also leads to a drier pelleted manure, rich in nutrients itself, and with some interesting potential for gardeners. One such potential is in replacing peat moss and potting soils. The research on this is somewhat limited, I'll admit, but I found a study that took rabbit manure that had been composted for 28 days, and I'm not sure exactly what that composting process looked like, but it compared it to peat moss-based potting soil. So basically it replaced some of the peat moss and some of the potting soil, and found the germination rates were similar, but the performance after germination was significantly better with the rabbit manure compost. We've talked about the need for peat replacement options, and the study also says that the utilization of rabbit manure produces fewer greenhouse gas emissions. So maybe there's something there for commercial composters, assuming you have access to, thousands of rabbits and their manure, I suppose. Generally speaking, rabbit manure is considered a 2-1-1 fertilizer, 2 nitrogen, 1 phosphorus, 1 potassium, though that will differ slightly depending on 1 diet, that's actually pretty high in terms of nitrogen. So utilization in the garden should be somewhat conservative. Plus, if you are selling the food, especially if you are organic, the 90-120 day rule must still be heeded, regardless of whether or not the manure is super dry like rabbit poop is, which again, the 90-120 day rule states that manure cannot be on the soil less than 90 days before the crops that do not touch the soil are harvested, like tomatoes, for instance, they're above the soil, and 120 days before crops like lettuce do, that do touch the soil before they are harvested. In other words, when you put rabbit manure or any other manure on the soil that is not fully composted under the NOP guidelines, you have to wait 120 days before you harvest that crop if it touches the soil, 90 days if it doesn't. And I will probably have to explain that rule every month, just because it is a weird rule and it takes a lot of words to explain it every time. But anyway, for that reason, composting the manure is generally recommended. There is a lot of regurgitated information about using manure online, but not a lot of research to back up that information. However, it does seem like rabbit production is gaining popularity in many parts of the world. So with that comes an increase in studies about how to manage and utilize the excessive manure that is created. My take is that if you have enough rabbit manure to fertilize the garden, you can do so, but in order to be able to use it for market production, you may as well compost it. It's a great nutritional option though, and as long as it is spread out and lightly worked into the soil, should provide a decent amount of plant fertility and water retention and those sorts of things. I would, however, consult with an agronomist before adding too much to make sure the manure is going to address the soil's needs without causing new issues on the phosphorus and potassium and nitrogen side. Anyway, not a whole lot more I can say about it, at least not based on any actual research I can find. Most of it is with composted rabbit manures anyway. But let me know what your experiences or thoughts are with or about rabbit manures in the comments section. Otherwise, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will talk straw with tack and what the heck tack is. Be right back. Should have said be right tack.
Farmer Claire Coleman here from the Winter Growers Podcast. Did you know that I also founded Real Farmer Care, a nonprofit that supports farmer well-being? From my own experiences farming, I knew firsthand that this type of support was missing from ag, so I decided to do something about it. As of today, there are over 500 farmer recipients of a $100 self-care award, with more applying daily. If you'd like to help, each $100 donated supports one new farmer. Visit realfarmercare.com to donate and learn more. Again, that's realfarmercare.com.
All right, so Amy's third suggested topic, which I have enjoyed all of these, by the way, is straw with tack, presumably as a garden mulch or for utilizing with something like cover crops. So some of you may or may not know what this is, and I'm raising my hand here because I did not know what straw with tack is, but straw with tack is chopped up straw that contains a tackifier, like a sticky substance. In general use, this is employed to help reseed lawns where the soil is prepped, the seeds are sown, the straw is laid down, and the tackifier helps to keep the seeds and soil and straw in place when it is moistened. What's in the tackifier? Well, that's not entirely clear. On one Reddit post, someone says they called a company and found out it was guar gum. And I found an Amazon question was answered that said the agent they used for the tackifier was used as a food additive in ice cream and chewing gum. So guar gum kind of fits there, though plastics are also used in gum. So, maybe these companies should just say what's in their dang product. On the Reddit thread, I saw where the commenter says it's okay for use in organic gardens. Technically, that's not accurate, at least not for certification. If you are certified organic, it would have to be approved by a certifier or OMRI listed to be allowed in organic production. And the straw with tackifiers that I can find are neither of those things, though you are welcome to ask your certifier if it is approved, because it is not on the approved list. Now, these companies also say that their products are quote unquote 99% seed free. I'm not really sure what that percentage is based on. Is it 99% of the mass of the bag is weed free? Is it 99% of the crop that the straw came from was harvested? So the entire straw harvested may have the remaining 1% spread out through all of the bags. I honestly don't know, but that's a little vague to me, and suggested there is also a risk of weed seeds because 1% of a 2.5 or 3 cubic foot bale contains weed seeds. That's a lot of weed seeds. I mean, seeds are small. So I guess in short, I would not use it in the garden personally, but I don't think it's going to cause any significant damage. You may have to pick out some weed seeds. You may be introducing some weird substances to your soil. Guar gum I'm not concerned with so much, but is there anything else in there? What about persistent herbicides? All that stuff I don't know. But the weed seeds are going to be with pretty much every mulch anyways. So if you did use it already, I wouldn't sweat it. If you didn't use it, I wouldn't go out of my way to use it. In my opinion, straw works just fine. Anyway, let me know what your all's thoughts and experiences are, as always. But I think at this moment, we're going to call it a Thursday, or jeudi if you're French, and which I've been thinking a lot about since Le Heist, which is just the wildest story. Anyway, not relevant, but there you go. Don't forget, No Till Growers is now officially a nonprofit 501c3, so donations are tax deductible and greatly appreciated. You can learn more about how to do that in the show notes. Please make sure to like and subscribe and or follow wherever you're getting this podcast. That's an easy way to help us out. Enormous thank you to all of our show sponsors, and if you'd ever like to sponsor the show, you can reach out to Farmer Michelle at notillgrowers.com. Huge shouts to Willie Breeding for the theme music and Mike Hilbert for the production help and editing. Also, shouts to Epidemic Sound for the background music that you can hear. Pick up a hat or a copy of my book, The Living Soil Handbook, at notillgrowers.com to support our work. Big thank you to everyone over at patreon.com/notillgrowers, where at a certain level, or if you just bump up from one level to another, or you sign up in the month of October, you get a shout out on the show. So big shout outs today to Eld Stitch Horrors. Horrors. Like scary. It's very October-y. Appreciate that. And Laney and Running Duck Farm. Cool. We had some Indian runner ducks for a long time. They were very fun. All right, so as you will remember, or maybe not because it's been, since Monday, but we had a podcaster named Mia as our protagonist who was recording an episode with an ecologist, just a podcast interview, who themselves were studying a southern toad that had been disappearing mysteriously at alarming rates. They were discussing that and having a good old time when suddenly the line went dead. And for days, Mia stressed about not just having an unfinished episode in the queue. That's not fun, but the wellness of her guest was okay. What happened? So she decides to drive down there. It's not too far from wherever she lives. Let's say Lexington, Kentucky. It's a good place, home of the cats. And the weird thing is, though, when she gets down to his house in, let's say, Alabama, he's there at his house. He comes to the door, and when she knocks, but, he looks off. He looks blank. He has no idea who she is or any recollection of their conversation or any idea that his phone and computer is dead. And so she's definitely confused here. What's going on? That is for tomorrow on Toad Rules. It's like road rules, but nothing like it. It's just a pun that doesn't actually make any sense. Anyway, thanks for watching and or listening. We'll see you tomorrow for Feedback Friday. That should be fun. Bye.